The man accused of killing and then his parents.
Guy is a college student in Louisiana.
Law enforcement officials showing a meat grinder and gas can were found in the trunk of what they say is Guy's car.
Knox County Sheriff's Office called the crime scene gruesome.
What investigators found inside has been dubbed by the state as a diabolical stew.
It would be described as horrific, a very gruesome crime scene.
The tragic events unfolded in Knoxville, Tennessee in November 2016, just 2 days after a seemingly peaceful Thanksgiving celebration. Joel and Lisa Guy, described by those who knew them as deeply connected, had been happily married for over 3 decades. Despite Joel Sr.'s 3 daughters from a previous relationship, Lisa had always been a nurturing presence to them. Joel Sr., a pipeline engineer, and Lisa had high hopes for their retirement and had already made plans to move to a new home in Serville, Tennessee. This Thanksgiving was supposed to be a joyful celebration of their life together as they looked forward to this new chapter. However, their dreams of retirement and spending more time together were tragically cut short.
Aware of Lisa's plans to retire?
Yes, she was excited about retiring and just spending her time. They were madly in love, so just spending time with each other.
Joel Guy Jr., their only child together, was born in 1988. He had a close relationship with his parents, and Lisa was like a second mother to Joel Sr.'s daughters.
Now, Lisa was not your mother, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you tell the jury when you met Lisa and how that came about?
Lisa, when Michelle and I were 3, they met, and she's been like a second mother to us since before I can remember.
The family had gathered for Thanksgiving in their Knoxville home, unaware of the horror that awaited them just 2 days later. Despite the plans for a peaceful retirement and a fresh start in a new home, the Guy family's future was brutally shattered by the unimaginable events that unfolded in their Knoxville residence. The details of what happened next would shock the community and leave investigators grappling with the sheer brutality of the crime scene. On Thursday, November 24, 2016, Thanksgiving Day, Joel Sr. and Lisa Guy invited Joel Sr.'s 3 daughters and their children, along with their son, Joel Jr., to celebrate the holiday with them. Joel Jr., who was usually reserved and quiet, seemed to be acting differently that day, according to Michelle Tyler, his half-sister. Michelle noted that Joel Jr. made an unusual effort to interact with her children, something he hadn't done before. This change in behaviour struck Michelle as odd, considering Joel Jr.'s typical reclusive nature.
This day was a little different. It was always more, the typical time with Dad and Lisa was more laughing and banter, but if Joel Michael Jr. was there, he wasn't ever hanging with us doing that banter. He would be in his room.
And at some point, did she interact, though, with your children?
The Thanksgiving was different. The Thanksgiving was completely different. The moment that I arrived, Joel Michael Jr. was talking to us, and he never. I'm not sure Joel Michael Jr. knew my kids' names, and so for him to talk to them was odd.
After the Thanksgiving festivities concluded, Joel Sr.'s 3 daughters left with their children, leaving Joel Sr. and Lisa Guy in the house with their son Joel Jr., who had his own apartment in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, chose to stay with his parents in their Knoxville home for the holiday. Despite his aspirations of becoming a plastic surgeon, Joel Jr. dropped out of college in 2015 and had been financially dependent on his parents ever since, struggling to find stable employment. On the afternoon of Saturday, November 26, 2016, just 2 days after Thanksgiving, Lisa Guy went grocery shopping at their local Walmart around 3 p.m. That same day, Joel Jr. was also seen at the same Walmart purchasing bandages and chemicals. On Sunday, November 27, 2016, Joel Jr. left the Knoxville house to seek medical attention for cuts he had sustained on his hand. He drove back to Baton Rouge to be seen at the student clinic. This action, on its own, wasn't considered suspicious. However, on Monday, November 28th, Lisa Guy failed to show up for work. Her boss, Jennifer Whited, became concerned as the company was hosting a retirement party for Lisa, and her absence was unusual. Despite attempts to reach Lisa by phone, she did not respond to calls to her home or mobile phone. Worried for Lisa's safety, Jennifer contacted 911 and requested a welfare check on the Guy family.
Yes, I have an employee that has not reported for work today, and highly unlike her. I've tried calling her home number, I've tried calling cell phone, and can't get a hold of her. What can we do about that? Can somebody go by and check on them?
Yeah, do you know her address?
I do.
What is that?
It is Golden View Lane.
Okay. And what is your name, ma'am?
My name is Jennifer Whited, Whitted.
And what company are you with?
Jacobs Engineering.
Okay, what's the employee's name?
Lisa Guy, Guy. Her husband's name is Joel, Joel.
Should he be there too? Does he live with her?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
And they do have a dog named Jake. I think he's a big baby.
Okay. How old is she, do you know?
She is in her, I think, late 50s.
Do you know if she has any medical issues?
No, I mean, she has high blood pressure, but that's all. That's all that I know of. Yeah, I know that their house is for sale, and they are moving, and she is leaving our company, but that's supposed to be Friday, and this definitely isn't like her just not to show up.
Okay. I'll send a call over to officers, have them swing by and check on her. And if anything changes before then, just give us a call back here, okay?
At the same number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Interview. The officer tasked with the welfare check was Stephen Ballard. He approached the Guy family home, rang the doorbell, but received no response. When he attempted to go around to the back of the house, he found the gate was locked and decided not to take further action. However, Lisa's boss remained concerned. An hour or two later, she called 911 again to request another welfare check. This time, Detective Stephen Ballard returned to the house, accompanied by Detective Jeremy McCord. Looking through the window, they observed groceries, including perishable items like milk and bacon, scattered on the floor. Despite the house being listed for sale, there was no real estate agent lock on the door. Additionally, they noticed that the back door knob was missing. Ballard and McCord eventually gained access through the garage door. Upon entering, they felt an intense heat, the first chilling sign of the horror that lay within.
There were 3 cases of beer, perishables, there was breakfast meat, stuff like that in bags that you could just see sitting there. And then immediately to the right is a formal dining room that had a large amount of long guns laying there. I think there was a red velvet cake at the end of the table. It's just stuck out. And
so taking into account everything you've witnessed thus far, the circumstances present outside as well as what you observed inside, how are you feeling at this point?
It's terrifying because you don't know if somebody needs some help. I mean, it's just an odd situation. There's nothing downstairs that I'm observing that makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we go through houses and we clear houses regularly, and most of the time, if you encounter something, you kind of know right when you get in. This was a very different situation because once we get upstairs, it's like the world does a 180. Everything gets turned upside down.
Inside the house, there were guns lined up on the dining room table. The smell of chemicals in the house was so strong that Ballard said his forehead was tingling in the toxic.
I actually feel a tingling on my forehead from the time that I entered the home. As we continue on and start up the steps, the heat is more intense. It seems to be getting hotter.
Upstairs, their fears were confirmed when they found a horrifying sight, a pair of human hands lying at the end of the hallway. Downstairs, something even worse awaited them in the kitchen. Realizing they could not proceed without backup, they left the property. No one was physically present in the house. Backup was soon called, and forensic investigators arrived at the scene. They discovered a large stockpot on the stovetop, emitting heat. Reddish-brown stains were found upstairs on the walls and banister. But the most shocking evidence was found in the bathroom, 2 containers containing liquid and pieces of tissue. Nearly every room of the home was filled with evidence. Chemicals and tools were scattered around the house, and traces were found everywhere. However, their son, Joel Jr., was nowhere to be found in the house. He was still alive. The police placed Joel Jr. under surveillance, considering him the only survivor and the prime suspect. He was apprehended on Tuesday, November 29, 2016, in Baton Rouge. A grinder was found in the trunk of his car. So, what happened to Lisa and Joel Guy Sr.? It was clear they had been killed, and their son was the prime suspect. In a backpack inside the house, officers found a startling piece of evidence, a notebook used by Joel Jr. This notebook was the key to the deaths of Lisa and Joel Guy Sr. In fact, he had written checklists detailing equipment he needed and steps he would have to take in order to carry out the crime and evidence.
Minimize things I touch throughout visit. Wear gloves and socks to prevent fingerprints and footprints. Drop something down the garbage disposal to break it. Get him on the ground fixing it. Clean up mess from him before she gets home. Bring blender and food grinder. Grind meat.
The notebook, nicknamed The Book of Premeditation, showed that Joel Jr. had been planning the event for days, if not weeks, as early as November 7th, nearly 20 days before. CCTV footage shows Joel Jr. shopping for items later used.
This is video of the male subject entering our grocery vestibule on November 26, 2016 at 3:26 p.m.
His internet history also revealed searches for different chemicals. Joel's plan was to end his parents' lives and make it look like his father had committed the act. He planned to clean the scene, partially burn the house, and wrote notes about manipulating the thermostat. On November 26, 2016, Joel Jr. purchased items consistent with those found at the scene.
And here's one from November 26, 2016 at 12:18, 18 minutes after noon at the 10,900 Parkside Drive, Walmart, detailing the items purchased are consistent with what was observed and documented at the Golden View address in the foyer.
That day, while Lisa was out shopping, Joel Jr. attacked his father. The room showed signs of struggle, but Joel Sr. was overpowered and attacked. Lisa returned home and, upon entering, witnessed the event. She rushed upstairs but was too late to save her husband. Joel Jr. attacked and killed her. He then placed her head in a stockpot on the stove. After obtaining a deep cut on his left thumb during the event, Joel Jr. left to go to a store, where he was seen buying supplies. Within just over 3 hours, both his parents were dead. Tragically, upon hearing the news of her daughter's death, Lisa's elderly mother collapsed and passed away before her daughter's funeral. Lisa's brother stated in court that his mother was heartbroken to learn that her grandchild was responsible for her daughter's death.
But to find out your daughter was murdered by your own grandchild was heartbreaking. My mother died. There are 3 deaths on your hand, on Joe Michael Guy Jr.'s hands. On that day I lost my family. My mother is gone, my sister is gone. The world has forever changed. The impact of this crime is notorious.
The evidence stacked up against Joel Jr. as the case came to trial, yet he pleaded not guilty. Evidence from family and from Joel Jr.'s notebook showed that his motive was financial. Joel Jr. had been financially supported by his parents for his whole life, with Lisa working tirelessly to give the majority of her paychecks to her son. Yet, as they were nearing retirement, the couple decided it was time for their 28-year-old son to stand on his own 2 feet and planned to cut him off financially. Joel Jr. had guessed what was happening and was not happy. Realizing that his parents would no longer support him, Joel hatched a plan. He thought that if both of his parents were dead, he would be able to access their $500,000 life insurance policy. On top of this, Joel Jr. would have access to his parents' other assets, such as their cars and boat. For most of us, hurting any of our family members is inconceivable. But Joel Jr. not only killed the two people who loved and supported him the most, but he did it for money. Joel Sr.'s family members took to the stand to confirm he had been planning to cut his son off financially. Joel Sr. had been planning to tell Joel Jr. that coming Christmas, which the family would have celebrated in their new home, had their lives not been cut tragically short.
Week before, they were at the house and we were talking about what they were going to do, and they said that they were going to wait till Christmas to talk to Joel Michael, that they were going to have him to start paying his bills and stuff.
And this was a close family. They like to talk. And they discussed these plans, and you just can bet that Lisa Guy, who was Mr. Joel Guy Jr.'s biggest fan, his enabler, his supporter, you know that she told him. She had to tell him in advance what he was in for, what was coming up for him. You know that happened. If they're talking about it with Michelle and Angela and Joel Sr.'s sisters in October and November, you know that the defendant knew about it, and you know that his mother told him. So he knew what was coming. And he's smart. He's smart enough to know that once his mom retires, once she quits her job, that insurance money is gone. He isn't getting that. He's not getting that. And he's not used to supporting himself. He's used to having the support and care from his mother, primarily, taking care of his needs, providing him with an apartment, with utilities, with a car, gas money, paying his bills, his tuition, paying for his books, paying for everything. He's used to having her pay for everything. And he wasn't about to let them cut him off.
A further detail was explained by Michelle Tyler, Joel Jr.'s half-sister. She stated that she had seen the blue containers in Joel Michael Jr.'s car during their Thanksgiving celebrations 2 days before the murders. These blue containers would be the ones into which Joel Jr. would place chemicals and parts of his parents' bodies. On day 2 of the trial, footage of Joel Jr. in Walmart just hours after the deaths of his parents was shown, where he was purchasing bandages and plasters to put over the cut on his thumb he sustained after he attacked his dad. On the video, you can see that he has what appears to be bandages covering some type of injury on his right and left hands. More photos and videos from this situation were also shown. The pot that contained Lisa Guy's head was presented to the court. Multiple items in the house used for the incident had Joel Jr.'s fingerprints on them. Officers came to the stand to further describe what they found. One officer described the smell, stating that he would never be able to get that smell out of his head. Throughout these descriptions, Joel Jr. sat emotionless, not reacting to the testimonies being given by Knox County police officers in a case where somebody is charged with premeditated murder.
In a case where somebody is charged with premeditated murder, and I've tried many premeditated homicides, usually you have to put premeditation together circumstantially. And many times I have argued to a jury that you will have to put facts A, B, C, D, and E together to prove this element of premeditation. It's not like you'll have a notebook or an outline or a diary entry that's going to tell you every time. And how ironic that I finally got a case where I have that. That's exactly what we have. We have basically what amounts to a diary that outlines a plan of intention to kill. And we have a motive.
Each new detail presented in court revealed the depths of Joel's actions. On the 3rd day of the trial, a further forensic investigator described how they removed the liquefying bodies from the property, describing the way the body part of Joel Guy Sr. had been entirely dissolved by the substance, leaving it bare. Joel Jr.'s only friend and old roommate also spoke to the jury. Michael McCracken, who met Joel Jr. at school, had been friends with Joel for nearly 10 years. He described Joel Jr. as a socially awkward person who was becoming more of a recluse as he got older. A phone call between the two after Joel Jr. had been arrested was played for the court, in which Joel said that Michael was the only good thing in his life. Joel Jr. had sat through the delivery of unsettling evidence and the emotional testimonies from family and friends of his deceased parents. Yet, this moment, seeing his best friend in court, was the only time Joel Jr. showed emotion in the trial. The fourth day of the trial, on Thursday, saw the beginning of deliberations. Joel Guy Jr. turned down the opportunity to testify, and the charges against him were read out again.
And you do understand, if you wanted to, regardless of what your attorneys advise you, that you certainly could. That decision is completely yours. You understand that, Mr. Guy? And so it's your decision, after being informed and discussing this with your attorneys, to not testify in this case. Is that correct?
Finally, on Friday, October 2nd, 2020, Joel Guy Jr. was found guilty on all charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of first-degree felony murder, and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse. Joel was found unanimously guilty on all 7 counts. With over 700 pieces of evidence shown to the court, Joel Michael Guy Jr. remains in prison and is incarcerated at the Northwest Correctional Complex in Tiptonville, Tennessee. His sentence will last for 124 years, and he'll be eligible for parole on April 30th, 2136. What are your thoughts on this tragic and heartbreaking story? Do you think anything could have been done to prevent these murders? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Your support is what keeps us going, so make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons on your way out. And also, don't forget to click the notification bell to not miss any of our uploads. Until next time, stay safe and take care, and we'll see you soon.